Welcome along to the final round of S18 Season 18, and what a stage we have for the championship decided tonight, which is at Silverstone, the home of British motorsport and one of the most iconic circuits anywhere in the world. But before we look forward, we have to reflect on what happened last time in Abu Dhabi, because that race may well define this title fight. Jensen, let me put my glasses on first. Jensen took a crucial victory under the lights, capitalising on a race that turned his head massively, whilst Fireblazer's absence proved devastating to his championship aspirations. That single no-show has completely flipped the standings. Jensen now arrives here as the championship leader, holding a 30-point advantage, and his momentum is firmly on his side. The pendulum has swung towards his way. And for Fireblaze, the task tonight is monumental. 4 wins this season, relentless consistency, and yet he needs nothing short of a miracle to claw his way back towards the front of the field. For Jensen, though, the main possibility for him is far simpler. Stay out of trouble, execute cleanly, and let the championship come to him. But Silverstone is a tricky track, but hopefully that he can make his way towards the front of the field. My name is Joe Morris, and alongside me is Milan Langer. Welcome, mate. Nice to see you here for the first time, I think, in Division 1.
This season, I think it might be the first time overall. I think I did Zandvoort a couple of weeks ago in another division, but it's great to be back. It's great to be here in Division 1, and what race to make your debut at then the season finale with 2 championship protagonists fighting it out for the championship. So I'm very excited to see what's going to happen tonight. And we're here at Silverstone, of course, one of the best tracks on the game for racing as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to the race tonight as well. Of course, we have qualifying first as per usual. 18 minutes to kickstart this evening, and we've got a few drivers out on track already, and Kevin in the McLaren seems to be the first one out on track, so we'll keep an eye out on what he can do. But our championship rival Fireblaze still in pit lane, but I'm sure we'll see him out on track. His teammate is out on track though, in the other Alpine, going out early for their first runs. But of course, I haven't been here for the majority of the season, so I'm sure you will know all the stories that happened throughout this season. But what I'm seeing right now is that it's probably going to be a great championship fight, but that the odds are in favor of Jensen, and Fireblaze will need to hope for a miracle and need something terrible to happen to his teammate if he wants to have any shot of the championship. But it's the F1 game, it's a league race in general, anything can happen. So of course, there is still a good chance that we might see a different outcome tonight, but at the moment, it's Jensen who has the best opportunities. But Kevin in the McLaren, he is going to start his flying lap first, and the Alpine is not too far behind him. So we'll keep an eye out on both of their lap times. But the first lap time of qualifying has been started by the McLaren driver, going through turns 1 and 2 flat out very, very easily then. And now down into the braking zone as he misses the apex slightly on the inside, losing a bit of speed on exit as well. Want to get the traction down as early as possible, as you'll be flat out all the way throughout the Wellington Straight before the braking zone, going in towards turn 6. And that was a very quick left-hander. Want to be very tight to the inside, very close to almost cutting the track there, but he's kept his McLaren within the white lines. Bit of a moment mid-corner as he's trying to accelerate out onto the straight, and now flat out all the way to Kopp's corner, which is flat out in qualifying. And let's see how he's going to handle that. Stays off the inside curb, which can be quite tricky. If you hit it at the wrong angle, it can really unsettle your car. So he's playing it safe on his first lap. Now flat out through the first 2 parts of the S's, and a slight lift in towards the final one, and good exit coming out onto the hangar straight. 102.6 is his middle sector speed. We'll see what the Alpine does right behind him. 102.6 as well, so quite close already between the McLaren and the Alpine. But now his crucial final sector, bit of a snap mid-corner for Kevin Den going through Stowe, and now this crucial final chicane where you can really make or break your lap time, but he is playing it safe on his bunker lap. The first lap time on the board is going to be a 26.540, and let's see if Jensen will be able to beat that. Yes, he is. 26.4, 1/10 of a second ahead, and he's got a decent bunker lap up already as Samad goes between the winners. But there is Rising Star rising to the top with a 25.999.
Incredible lap time there for Rising Star, the first driver inside the 25s, of course. And I don't think Rising Star has raced in the last race at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He has missed, I think, a race. He did. He hasn't raced in the 2 last races. His last race was at the Austrian Grand Prix. He's had a few problems as well this season with interconnection issues. He's like one of the drivers, I think, that who has got good pace when he can make his way through. But in terms of longevity, in terms of race pace, that's where he lacks the most because he just falls backwards because the tyre wear just simply can't hold on for him, unfortunately. Adams goes P6 ahead or behind Samid in the Williams. Then Burmeister up into P2. Moenimo goes towards the top of the field with a 25.890. Moenimo's currently fourth in championship, 1 win and 4 podiums. So Ferrari this season have only got 1 win thanks to Moenimo, but they have been competitive for the whole season but haven't been near the reach of the RP boys. The RP boys have just pulled away from everybody this season. The Ferraris have been there to threaten them, but overall pace has been better by the Alpines. Where is Fireblaze? Goes up into P2 then, so that's a 25.927. I think Fireblaze realistically knows that he's not going to win a championship unless something dramatic happens to Jensen, because Jensen's 13 points ahead of him, and Jensen ideally needs a DNF and Fireblaze to win the race. So everything is in Jensen's favour to win this championship, but I don't think Fireblaze really cares. I don't think the pressure is immense on him. If it was like, for example, the points was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, then fair enough, the championship or the pressure will be mighty high as Glock goes up into P6 in the Kick Sauber, but the pressure will be immensely high for both drivers. But with a big gap like that, I don't think that there's no pressure for each of them. I meant like for Verstappen as well. He had a 12-point deficit towards Lando Norris. I don't think there's much pressure towards him either because he knows that the championship was out of reach. He needed a miracle to happen, like Charles Leclerc or Russell to overtake Norris and clinch the championship that way. But all Fireblaze could do is just end the season on a high and take the win, to take his 5th win of the season. And Fireblaze will be devastated because this time last season he was in the same boat, same position, in P2, behind Kaname at the time. Kaname won the championship in the final race of the season, and Fireblaze finished in P2, just missed out. And it could be the same scenario here as well. So the same repeats of what happened last season could transpire into this season. But Fireblaze, he can be proud of himself because it's been a big step forward. Because, like I said, he's been passive, laid back a little bit as well, not overall aggressive towards his rivals, and not planning his right attacks at the right time, not being methodical, calculated like Kaname has as well. But this season he's been trying his absolute best, putting his foot forward and seeing what results he could gain. And Milan, you know Fireblaze too, but you've seen him race plenty of times. You've raced with him like last year. You know, you've raced with him more than me. What is he like as a driver? Is he explain it to us, like what is he like?
Well, I for sure know that he is one of the most consistent drivers I know. He might not always be the quickest, but he sure knows to get the points on the board every single race. But he's not the driver to take massive risks. I know that as well. I think you know that too. But he's very quick. We all know that he's in the championship fight for a reason. But he's got 4 wins compared to Jensen's 10 wins, which just shows that Fireblaze, he's got that incredible consistency. But what he needs tonight is to win, basically. And you need to be the quickest for that. So I know he's got the capabilities of winning, but he needs to take some risks, I'd say, for tonight to have still a chance of opportunity to win tonight. I'm not sure what mindset he's going into tonight. He might just be going into it with thinking the championship probably out of reach. I'm just going to do my best and see where I end up, or he's just going to go into it like a fighter and go all out. Who knows? But knowing him, probably more a bit of a calmer approach. But we'll see in the race. We don't know, but I'm certainly looking forward to what he's doing. He's looking strong so far in qualifying, at least at the moment, on the front row and a couple of tenths ahead of his teammate who has gone out for another lap. But yeah, the gap, I think it's 17 points in the championship. He needs a miracle to happen. But I'll tell you what, though, a miracle in championships being decided or being thrown around by someone speeding in the pit lane, for example, which is something that happens quite often here itself. So I would not want to jinx it, of course, for Jensen. Don't want him to lose the championship in that way, but there's always something that can happen. So I'm just hope we get a fair fight, and whoever comes out the strongest will win the championship. I'm sure they will, but Jensen in the Alpine, speaking of him, he's coming through the final couple of corners and he is going to start his second lap. And let's see if he's going to get a little bit closer towards his teammate. He'll need to find half a second on this lap time, but being the champ saver there, he is incredibly quick. So let's see what he can do as he makes his way through the first couple of corners and down into the first heavy braking zone on this lap. Very tight to the inside, to the apex where you want to be, and taking a very tight approach through the next one as well, and then accelerating outwards through the flat-out king of turn 5, and DRS opens for the first time on this lap down the Wellington straight. Let's see what his sector first split is already 2.5 tenths up. So a great start to his lap. And that really shows that there was some time in that first lap time that he said. But he has a big moment. Oh, and the back end stepping out from underneath the Alpine coming out of turn 7. And I'm sure he's lost a couple of hundreds at least with that. So this might not be the quickest lap time from him so far this in this qualifying session. And he might need to rely fully on his final lap at the very end. But let's see if he still got some more pace through the middle. And the final sector now through Maggots, and Beckett's getting a very nice exit there as well. Coming out with the DRS opening, and he's still up by 2.5 tenths. But yeah, that is the result of that. He hasn't gained a single thousandth of a second in the middle sector, just because of that moment coming out of turn 7, and now we need to rely on the final sector to really gain some more time, but it still should be a decent improvement that could potentially get him up into P4 if he gets this final sector right as well, which it has seemed like at the moment. He's going to cross the line and he goes quickest with a brilliant final sector. Definitely did not expect that at 25.8, but Rising Star immediately beats that also with a 25.8. The top 3 now separated by 700ths of a second, but that shows that Jensen, he still got time in that lap with that moment in turn 7. He can still go quicker than this, which is already posing a threat to Fireblaze, but Fireblaze himself is going 2.5 tenths quick already through sector 1 as well. So he himself finds himself with a great start to his flying lap, and he goes clean out of turn 7. So you might see a new fastest lap time coming up at the end of this lap, as he's going to go through Cobb's corner flat out very nicely between those white lines, and now heading towards Maggots and Beckett again, as you really want to hit the apexes on the left and on the right, and back to the right here again as he goes a little bit wide there, but I don't think he's lost too much time with that. He's up by over 3 tenths of a second. Now we're looking at a potential 25.6, maybe even 25.5 if he gets the final sector right as well. So this could be a huge lap time for him, as Moamina goes quick with a 25.485. Brilliant lap time from the Ferrari driver. And I'm not sure if Fireblaze will be able to beat that. Let's see what he can do, as he is going to cross the line for a 25.554. Puts him in second place, once again 3 tenths ahead of his teammate, but still not quite quick enough to beat the Ferrari of Mo Amino.
Such blistering pace there from the Ferrari driver of Mo Nemo in first place, a tenth quicker than Fireblaze in P2. Kevin, however, in P6, the super speed, is doing such an immaculate job there. Aidan McLaren, he made his debut a couple of races ago, and he's done such a great job so far as well. And we'll see how he does during the course of this race as well. Ahead of Moldus, Moldus has returned after a long period away. I'm not quite sure if he's been in Division 2 or Division 3 this season. I think he got dropped down to Division 2, if I remember correctly, because last season, in season 17, I always called him a consistent driver, always finishing inside the top 10. Then he made that big mistake in Imola when he spun the car around, unfortunately. But he can rely on Moldus to have such good pace as well. He is a Division 2 driver. I remember now because I think I commentated in Australia a couple of races ago this season, and he was one of the people that got on the podium too. So yeah, he can be a very quick driver from time to time, and he's currently in P8. So hopefully next season, if this league continues to unfold and continue, he can show his pace once again and be up there. He scored a win, I think, back in the Australian Grand Prix, the Belgian Grand Prix actually. He scored a win in the Belgian Grand Prix and picked up 4 more podiums ever since then, but he's had a lot of DNSs. So I think that's Melnus unfortunately could not commit to this league due to other issues or whatnot. But he's in the pit lane right now. It is a very quiet track right now as Fireblaze enters the pit lane too. You've got to be very careful and mindful of entering the pit lane. We've seen a lot of people pick up 10-second time penalties in the pit lane recently as well, a couple of races ago on Monday, but that was wet conditions. But it's just so easily done. And that small mistake will have big consequences because it will destroy your whole race. A 10-second penalty is detrimental to anybody, no matter how good you are, because it's such a big gap. And to try and bridge over a 10-second gap is just near enough impossible. Unless, of course, you're outside the DRS tree. But it is quiet on the track so far. It is the Ferrari on pole position with Fireblaze in P2. Rising Star doing a really good job again, deciding in P3. And Jensen is up into P4 ahead of Burmeister. Burmeister as well, great qualifying from him. A former Div 2 champion last season, but unfortunately has suffered a lot. He's had a few DNFs as well this season. DNFs, in the last 3 races. But Brazil scored inside the top 5. And the Spanish Grand Prix also finished as well in a great position. But obviously, we haven't really kept up with everybody's track records this season because I have myself commentated for a couple of races, but the attendance was very, very bad indeed, it must be said. And I did race quite a lot this season too, because that's why I'm currently first in the the reserves championship. I've got one podium back in the Spanish Grand Prix. I'm ahead of Nico Rosberg, who's got 2 wins and 1 podium. So I do think I won the reserve championship because Nico Rosberg unfortunately lagged out at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He was supposed to win. He was on course to win the race, but he lagged out and Jenson took more points. And if it wasn't for that as well, how much the deficit would have been between Jenson and Firebase? About 10 points. That'd still be a large amount. And I still think Jensen will have the advantage, but Jensen getting those extra 3 points means that he's more secure in terms of winning this championship. Now, Jensen is the first driver on his out lap. He's came out relatively earlier than other people, but at least he's got the options to do at least another lap, just in case he validates his first lap. He's always got that second option to go for it again, another chance. But for people who are comfortable and confident of setting a lap time without having a second lap, we'll wait for the very late stage qualifying to end and go out rather late to allow the track to evolve, etc. So let's see how Jensen does. He did make a big mistake in the middle sector. I do think he's got it in him to take pole position, considering that big mistake in towards Luffield. He had a massive swapper on, unfortunately. He tries to get the throttle and the back end will not comply. So hopefully on his next flying lap, I thought for 1 second then he's about to dive into the pit lane. But here he goes then in towards the final 3 corners, and we'll see how this lap unfolds. On board with Jensen, 5.8 kilometers. The final lap here in qualifying will begin as we ride on board with the RP driver. Jensen used the battery down towards the Hamilton straight, coming towards RB, in towards turn 1 and in towards turn 2, flat out through these first 2 corners, now coming down towards turn 3, heavy braking zone, down to the gears, misses the apex. There's a Ferrari in the way. The Ferrari hopefully gets out of the way. That could be Moenimo or Velocito Jr., but he's not getting out of the way. Is the Ferrari driver. That dirty air is not helping him whatsoever. And Jensen, as you can see, is frustrated by the Ferrari and he's weaving as well. Let's see if he's up or down. Down by the first sector. I think Jensen needs to back off. I think he's got enough fuel in the tank and enough time to do another lap time. But he's still continuing. This is where he made a big mistake. It towards Luffield, but seems hooked up this time. But unfortunately, he's lost a lot of time in the first sector by that Ferrari driver. I'm going to see which Ferrari it was. It was Moenimo. So Moenimo there, I think he needs to pay attention towards his surroundings because Jensen has been massively been impeded. And that is, even though he's not fully in the way, it causes a massive disturbance in turbulent air, which upsets the balance of the car. And he goes very wide, and I think that could be it for Jensen. But no, he's down by 0.3 of a second, and I don't think another lap time is on the board. He's only fueled the car up for 1 lap. As you can see, the flashing light is on Jensen's car, which indicates that he's run out of fuel. And I think qualifying is done and dusted. He will not be happy with what happened there with the Ferrari driver. So into the pit lane he comes. Qualifying is done and dusted for Jensen, and I dare say as well qualifying hasn't really been his strongest suit either. He's more consistent and more alive in the race then, as rising stars coming through turn 1 and turn 2. Milan, have you seen the Racing Bulls livery? It looks absolutely beautiful in my opinion. I've not even noticed that until now. Is that new?
It's new. It's today. It came out in the Survival Challenge, the second update. You can unlock the pink RB and the white Red Bull from the Japanese Grand Prix, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous, the RB livery. So I'm glad to see it tonight here as well. And he's taking it to good hands, but he's missing the apex there as he's up by 1/10 of a second through sector 1 though. But he completely missed the apex going in towards turn 7. But a bit distracted by the beautifulness of his incredible pink RB. But we've got drivers on the lap. Every driver's on the lap. Jensen is in P4, but he can only drop positions, which will not be good for him in his chances. As the Mercedes driver, I think, is finishing there in P6 is Bavish, but that is only going to be P6 for him. Up next is, I think, the Williams of Burmeister. He's up by 1/10 of a second in the middle sector. If he can find some more time, he will be ahead of Jensen, which could be crucial for the race. Let's see what he will be doing in the final sector, as he has a slight moment accelerating outwards, but it's gonna be a 25.7, put him in P3 on the second row. And then we look at Glock in the kick Sauber, up by a few hundredths of a second, and he goes into P6. What about Rising Star? He improves back up into P3, back ahead of Burma. So what about our top 2 doing with Moamino and Fireblaze both heading towards the final chicane? Can they go any quicker on their final laps? The Ferrari driver comes around the final corner. He does go quick, 25.4, What about Fireblaze? Can he take pole position in this crucial race? No, he cannot. He is not improving. He's down by 0.6 of a second. He will start in second place. There's a few drivers still coming across the finish line at the back end of the top 10, but I don't think they will play any role in pole position. It seems like as Veloci goes up to P6 in the Ferrari, good improvement for him. Mel is in P9. I think that is qualifying done and dusted, and that second lap of Mo Amina was just good enough for pole position anyway. We did find a slight improvement in his final lap time, and in the 25.463 will take the Ferrari to pole position around Silverstone.
Another pole added towards Mo Nemo's tally, and that is a fantastic lap time. His last win was at the Baku Grand Prix, and he took advantage of Fireblaze, and he took advantage of Jensen, who made a massive mistake. Jensen was hunting him down for the race win, but he made a massive mistake towards a turn number 4 corner. Broke his wing, but I do believe a safety car came out too, and Mo Nemo was under massive pressure as well from Fireblaze. Both RP drivers were hunting him down for the win, but Mo Nemo just held on. So let's see if Mo Nemo could convert his second pole into his second win like he did in Baku. And let's see if he plays a part in this championship. Jensen's down to P5, but I don't think he really cared, knowing that his championship is safe. And as long as he don't make any mistakes or any sort of complications in this race where it could have massive consequences for his championship, he should be okay, as long as he keeps it out of trouble. But Mo Nemo is on pole position with Fireblaze at P2. Riser starts P3 ahead of Burmeister, the Dutchman, once again doing a good job after a few bad races. Jensen's in P5 ahead of Velocio Jr., Glock's P7 ahead of Havish, Melder's P9, the speed of Kevin, Adams, the two Scotsmen of Samid and Adams, P11 and P12, and Matty will start down in P13 then. So we're on for the final race this season, this 26-lap race. Let's see who will take the victory. Both Alpines have had the most wins this season too. What's such dominant they've been as well, just like it was last season with Adams, not Adams, I think it was Kaname and Racing Nomula. Those two were superb last season too in the Alpine. And once again, Alpine will win for the second time in a row in this championship, but with two different drivers in the name of Jensen and Fireblaze. But this time, both drivers are going for the championship, and they're 30 points apart. And we don't expect too much of a chaotic race here in Silverstone. It's not really known for chaos, but at least one thing that could disrupt the drivers is that the pit lane could catch a lot of people out, and if it does, it could have huge complications. What's the word? I've actually forgotten what the word is now. It begins with C.
Consequences.
Yeah, consequences. Yeah, thank you so much, Milan. I think I'm going a bit stupid these days.
Yeah, indeed, huge consequences for the championship if they pull in the pit. And I really don't hope that I jinxed it for one of our championship rivals. I hope they make it into the pit lane very safely indeed. But I have seen it plenty of times before here at Silverstone and Brazil as well. It's another of those tracks where the pit lane can catch you off guard, but Silverstone as well, as the pit lane entry speed is very low at 60 kph. So you have to be really mindful, have to be really careful going into the pit lane. But let's hope that all of these drivers will succeed at that. But we've got a dry race on our hands. At least it's a bit cloudy up there, but I don't think there's any chance of rain in the near future. So if that is the case, then we should be looking. I'm not sure. I think it's a one-stop around Silverstone. Also, tire wear can be quite high. But I don't think it's high enough for a two-stop around here, so it could be just be a very plain medium to hard or hard to medium. But at the moment, it seems like everyone is opting for the medium tire to start on and finish on the more reliable hard tire, which is very common choice on this game, it must be said. And sometimes, but we also know that sometimes the soft can be used in racing. Silverstone, I think, it's one of those tracks where you can start on the softs, but you have to do some good tire management and maybe go for an undercut. But it's a great track for racing Silverstone. It's always enjoyable seeing racing around it. You never really have a dull race around Silverstone. In real life, neither, but especially in the game, it's always great fighting all the way towards the end of the race. So let's hope we get some good action there as well, and especially between our two championship rivals lining up second on the grid and fifth on the grid, with a championship rival in championship leader in B5 and Fireblaze in second place. And Fireblaze knows that he needs to get ahead of Mo Amina, but this track is also notoriously known for having huge DRS trains. So overtaking is one thing, but then building a gap of over a second to the car behind you is another one. And that is going to be very difficult for him indeed. And so I think that both Alpines probably will be in the leading train for the majority of this race, which is not going to make it easy for Fireblaze if he wants to have any chance of winning the championship. But it is going to be a good one. We'll see what Jensen will be able to do. He wasn't really given the opportunity to maximize his qualifying time, so he probably could have been up there with his teammate at least. But like you said before, he's stronger in the races, so that's where we'll see him rise towards the top. And who knows, maybe he can clinch a title by winning the race, which would be the most ideal scenario, finishing off the season in style. But I just hope we get a good fight between the two of them and we have a great season finale on our hands.
This championship has been a study in two very different strengths across the entire season. Fireblaze has built his title challenge on relentless consistency, week after week, scoring heavily, rearing, putting a foot wrong, and keeping himself firmly in the fight, even when outright victory hasn't always been on the table for him. In contrast, though, Jensen has played the long game with raw speed. When he's been on it, he's been untouchable, showing blistering pace and racking up wins, but that speed has come alongside a handful of difficult races and mistakes that's threatened to derail his championship. And now, as the season reaches climax, it may come down all the way to the wire, to a single moment. Fireblaze missing just one race, one absence, and 1-0 score in a championship fight this season that's been so tight. It could be the decisive turning point that swings the title away from consistency and towards pure pace now here in Silverstone. Both drivers have missed one race each, Jensen and Fireblaze. And Fireblaze, unfortunately, couldn't make it last week at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Looking back and thinking himself, well, not really anything in hindsight, because he genuinely could not make this British GP. It wasn't due to lag or anything. He was very busy that day as well on Wednesday night. So there's nothing he could have done to try and stop Jensen scoring points. He was hoping that Jensen had a miserable race back in Abu Dhabi, but it was so close to almost ending it in lap one, because him and Nico Rosberg were going at it, tail and nooth, throughout the whole lap, and that could have ended in tears, because it was side by side through turn 1 all the way down towards turn 14 until the fight finally ended with Nico Rosberg overtaking Jensen as well. And they were so close to contact, but luckily both drivers, experienced enough and fast enough, were able to keep it out of the walls and keep the respect and sportsmanship between each other. But even though we're talking about the Alpines, still got to give credit to Moenimo as well, because I've classed him to be one of the contenders as a early prediction early this season. But it's something with both Ferraris this season where they've been unlucky and they've been involved in a lot of contact as well and a lot of controversy as well, but not between each other, but in different times as well as the part of the season. They've been involved in drama, been reported a lot as well, had a lot of missed opportunities and chances as well, especially for Veloce Jr. down in P6. They just couldn't hook it up. But let's see if both Ferrari drivers can get in the mix and upset one of their races. But Jensen, he knows his main task is to keep it nice and clean. He should do, because all these drivers should be well behaved and have racing etiquette as well. So we'll just wait for the lights to go away. Five, four, 3, 2, 1, and the final race for the championship is underway. Fireblaze gets a poor start. Moenimo up into first place. Here comes the racing ball, side by side. Oh, contact! Burmeister's in a spin. He made contact on the back of the racing ball driver as we head down in towards turn number 3 we go. Moenimo maintains the lead with Fireblaze putting pressure on the Ferrari. But here comes the racing ball down the inside, but there's no space there. He has to concede place, and Jensen's now side by side with Glock going in towards entry. Through the loop we go, and Jensen maintains P5. But here comes Fireblaze on the back of the Ferrari driver, looking for a move, but unfortunately not there just yet. He has to stay behind for the time being. Veloce Jr. already has a 3-second penalty for corner cut. I'm not quite sure how he managed to do that in the first lap. Did he cut turn 1 and turn 2 and turn 3 at the same time? I'm not sure, but it's cost him dearly already. And now he's got Jensen and Glock right behind him. But it's a clean start, importantly, for both championship leaders. Burmeister got turned around by the racing ball. I think he was a bit audacious down the inside. There's a few drivers got off the track there at the exit of Cops. But so we see these two going side by side, Havish and Kevin. And looks like Havish just kept himself ahead on the McLaren driver for the time being. Then he goes up into P7. But Burmeister, he had a great qualifying, but fortunately got disadvantaged. He's been put down to P11. Hopefully he got no damage. But more importantly as well, he's still in this DRS trade despite losing loads of places and being disadvantaged already at this first part of the race.
Yeah, exactly. He's still within this lead. And there's a big move going up the inside. Goes Havish off Glock. There's a bit of contact between the two, but the kick Sauber's got the inside line, able to maintain the position. And here comes the McLaren of Kevin going through and then spinning around. Is the Mercedes and get to the back? With his big crash. Oh, big crash. Havish is out of the race. Safety car has been deployed, or is it the VSC? Burmeister with a 10-second time penalty. What occurred there coming out of the final corner? I think it's a virtual safety car, but that is the Mercedes driver out of the race. There's a big contact with the Williams of Samat, I think, has got damaged. Burmeister got damaged. The Aston Martin of Mellis got damaged. So that was quite an accident coming out of that final corner. It was just Habish losing control over his Mercedes after getting overtaken by the kick Sauber. Yet the McLaren on his inside. I don't think there was contact between himself and the McLaren, but he just lost it on exit, and then he just got collected by a couple of drivers who could not avoid. And it's a very unfortunate turn of events for both Williams drivers now on the back foot, both with damage and a time penalty for good measure for Burmeister, which he will need to serve. He cannot remove it because he's got front wing damage. He needs to pit as well at the end of this lap. And unfortunately, Melnis is an innocent victim, an innocent bystander to that accident as well. We got a VSC, and now you need to really focus on that restart. If you pick up a drive-through penalty, that will be detrimental through your race. But at the front, it's remained clean. But at the back, it was absolute carnage. And there's a few drivers who paid the price for it.
Indeed it was there. So this VSC has been deployed. I don't think nobody is going to go for a pit stop except Burmeister and Summit, who have both got damaged. But here comes Rise to Star down the inside. I think he's trying to go. And there's contact between the Alpine and the Racing Bull there. The Racing Bull being audacious and trying to get Fireblaze, catch him napping. But Fireblaze wasn't going to be affected by that one. And he stays ahead of the Racing Bull then. The Racing Bull in third place. Rise to Star go for his second podium of the season. And let's see if he can do that as well. After a torrid season, as we see some people in the pit lane with their front wing damage as well, as we go through turn 1 and turn 2, and Mo and Nemo still in the lead of this race, with Fireblaze hunting him down with Rise to Star, Vlodchip Jr. and Jensen P4, P5, with Glocky P6 and Kevin in P7. This DRS train has been split up as well after contact behind. Matty's up into P9, benefited from those soft compound tyres, benefited from the guys around him making contact as well. And he moves inside the top 10, top 9 as well. Both Williams drivers pitted for new tyres, of course. It could be a double stack. It could be a painful race there between those two as Rise to Star gets closer and closer towards Fireblaze every single time. Vlodchip Jr., to remind you, does have a 3-second time penalty in this race, and we're not quite sure what it is for. It says corner cutting, so I think he made a big mistake in turn 1 and turn 2, and corner cutting in turn 3, but he went off the track massively somewhere around the first 3 corners. Not quite sure how he did that, of course, but unfortunately he inherited the penalty, and it could affect him all the way through this race as well. It's not really, this track as well, not really notoriously known for corner cutting. You don't really see many people picking up penalties around Silverstone, unless of course it's Chapel, because Chapel is such an easy place to go off. That's after Magnus and Beckes, for those people who don't know where Chapel is, before the hangar straight. But Kevin there looking very good on the back of Glock so far. I remember with Havish going down the inside on Glock at the time, it really put him at a disadvantage, and that's why he got into a spin as well, going side by side. It was a very aggressive move, but unfortunately paid the price, and now he's out of the race, unfortunately, down in 30th place. So he's looking very racy, wasn't he, the Mercedes driver? But that mistake has cost him dearly, and he's fell all the way to the back of the field. They do say in the first lap is the lap where he can make or break the most places, and he certainly tried to risk it all, but unfortunately ended up going backwards and retired then. So his last race this season did go well for him, and he's retired, as we see the top 7 then all in the frame, all in the picture then, and it's going to be a stalemate race until now, because you can see this massive DRS train. It's just so difficult to get past people. It's categorically just difficult to get past people in a DRS train. You're hoping that other people in front of you respond and go forward, but all these guys playing the long game, going to be well measured, going to be well calculated in terms of when you're attacking and defending at the same time as well. But for Jensen in P5, he could just settle down. No need to make any sort of aggressive move. Of course, he still needs to finish the race to win the championship, to Jensen, so he doesn't really want to make any sort of rash moves or make any risky moves. But for Fireblaze, he knows he's got to win this Grand Prix to try and get the points over Jensen. I think Fireblaze really cares about winning the race more than championship. He just wants to win the race to have a good season. He lost it to Kaname last season by only a few points as well, but he had a terrible race as well in Silverstone, because I think it was wet during the race, and now he's dry. So looking for him, it's into dry conditions here in Silverstone. But currently running in P2, comfortable so far, and keeping Rise to Star at bay for the time being, with Mo and Nemo just in front of him in his sights inside the DRS, where he wants to be in this race as well.
Yeah, don't expect to see any fighting through this first stint. We might see a proper position at the front, but you really don't want to fight on these sides. You want to stretch this stint as long as possible, so you don't have to do much tire saving at the end on the hard tire DRS once again. open for the Alpine, getting close, but not close enough, and Rising Star behind also has fell a little bit behind, 0.4 of a second away from the Alpine. Felicity in P4 and Jensen in P5, as Samad setting the fast lap race on those hards, on those brand new hards, but I think he was going to have to make another stop. So it's a really bad day for in the office for Williams, unfortunately. It's going to be a tough evening to score some good points tonight. Out of their control, to be honest, due to that incident we saw a couple of laps ago. The gap at the front is now 5.5 tenths between Mo Amino and Fireblaze. Fireblaze, he can get close through sector 1, but then through Cobb's corner, and especially through these S's as well, the understeer just drops him too far behind to be really close enough to go for any moves. There's yellow flags behind, and I think Kevin has gone off at the exit of Magaton back in Chapel. He has spun around into the gravel, and he is dropped down to P9 as a result of that. So the McLaren driver going for a spin and losing a bunch of positions, a bunch of time in the process, and that is not helping his race by any means. As up ahead, that is the Red Bull of Matti going into the pit lane after 4 laps on those softs, as he just about slows down enough there to avoid getting himself a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But lap 5 is quite early for him, so he will have to do a long stint on those on the hards. Which he is going to go on to, unless he is going to try and go for the 2-stop. The 2-stop is not really desirable around this track, because the pit lane is so long. It's the longest pit lane on the calendar. Maybe not the longest, but the slowest at least, with the 60 km/h pit limit speed, and it being quite slow on entry as well. You really want to avoid having to make a 2-stop, but I think for some of these drivers, they will have to, unfortunately, especially due to the damage they got a couple of laps ago. In that incident with the Mercedes of Havish. But at the front, it is remained calm, with the top 6 all within DRS range. Glock just about holding on to the back of Jensen, but I think he is about to fall out of it, as he is using a lot of his battery to remain close to the Alpine. But I don't think he's got quite the pace to stay close to the top 5. So this leading train, he hasn't got any DRS, so this leading train is now gone back to only 5 drivers fighting it out eventually, and it's just which is going to be enough for Jensen to be in. If he finishes in P5, that's alright, because he will still win the championship quite easily, even if Fireblaze ends up winning the race. And Fireblaze once again getting quite close on the exit. That is Glock coming into the pit lane as well at the end of lap 5. That is very early on those mediums. And he will go for a hard set tire, and he will try to go for the undercut probably. Just as he fell out of the DRS range, going into the pit lane, going for the undercut, but he will have to do some great tire management in that second stint, especially to be able to make it to the end on these sets of hard tires. As the gap at the front is now 7.5 tenths between Amino and Fireblaze. I mean, again, really getting into a good rhythm. He knows Fireblaze, of course, he has 2 times DRS throughout the lap, but he's not able to get close enough to form any threat to our race leader in the Ferrari, as Rising Star once again getting a little bit close to the back of the Alpine, but he himself also a little bit too far behind to have any go at the Alpine. So it's quite a calm beginning to this race, apart from that VSC we got, but at the front it has remained very calm. It is Burmeister once again to the pit lane, and he has retired from this race. Unfortunately, after that incident, the Williams driver is out of the British Grand Prix. We're down to 11 drivers after that earlier incident, but at the front it has remained the same over the past couple of laps, with Amino in first, Fireblaze in second, and Rising Star in third place. And the question will be, who of each drivers is going to make their pit stop first?
Went to Bob Glock, and his left front tyre was just very, very aggressive indeed. The left front tyre was blistering heavily as well, in comparison to what I've seen towards these guys inside the top 4. So it looks like Glock is running more of a harsh setup, or he's just carrying too much steering input in towards the corners, making the left front tyre more grain heavily, etc. But he's on a controller, and being on a controller is just so difficult around here as well, especially in Silverstone. Jensen clatters the curve in towards turn 3. He was also falling out of DRS range of Veloci and Julie in front of him as well. So it looks like Jensen maybe struggling a little bit as well in terms of race pace. But in Vegas, in Austria, and other tracks as well this season, he likes to go for a longer stint. He proved it back in the Las Vegas Grand Prix by staying out there extra. He likes to go for that longer stint, try and elongate it, and have better tyre wear towards the end of a race. And that's where he strikes. That's where he capitalises. That's one of Jensen's strengths. He's just managed to keep those tyres alive. But here in Silverstone, it looks like it's a different story. But too early to tell in this race. Maybe he might stay out there. when all these guys pit, so he can lead the race, go for a longer stint, and go in the hardcore power tires later and see what he could do. But that's a little pissed off from Glock. I expect him to do a 2-stop, even though it should be a 1-stop. But like you said, tyre wear can be very, very high indeed. So hence why he's going to the pit lane right now. It could be a 2-stop for him, doing medium, hard. If he's done 6 laps on those medium power tires, then it's just one of those things where unfortunately tyre wear is just massive around here as well. But let's see if anybody else decides to dive into pit lane in this DRS train. Nope. I know Velocio Jr. in P4 is running the controller as well, and he says that he has to do a lot of adjusting and trying to have much smoother inputs to try and help his tyre wear as well. It's just so difficult while it's been on the pad. I know what it's like because obviously I've raced around here with Silverstone myself, and tyre wear is high around here no matter what you do as well. But he's managing it well so far in P4. And also Rise of Star surprising me too in P3. I think he's on the pad as well. And he's one of those drivers, like I said, every single race this season and the last one, he has bad race management, it must be said. He said it himself as well. He really does struggle in terms of longevity on a set of medium power tires or hard tires. He always falls out of the DRS trade in the early stages of a race. He's quick at the very start of it, but as the race digresses and goes forwards, he just managed to get himself outside the DRS range and falls backwards every single time. That's been the main norm. It's been the main story this season of Rise of Star dropping backwards, and on last season too. But it looks like he's found something and doing a superb job so far, doing relatively good in that racing ball so far. Jensen, though, at the exit of Cops, going a bit wide there and may have picked himself up a track infringement, and 2 more of those will lead to a 3-second penalty. But I don't think he really cares because we're running in a solid race so far. But however, Fireblaze seems to be dropping off the back of Mo and Nemo. Mo and Nemo stretches his legs a little bit there in first place. It seems like he's got some extra pace to try and show over Fireblaze. But thanks to that DRS help, the DRS drawing Fireblaze back towards the front, and into the pit lane comes Jensen. So that's an undercut attempt there from the LP driver. He's one of those drivers that likes, oh, Jensen's got a 10-second time penalty, and like you said, Milan, you predicted it, Milan, and one of the championship contenders has got himself a 10-second penalty. That is going to be huge for the race and for the championship.
There's no way that actually happened. That I come here to make my debut as commentator and I jinx our championship leader into getting a 10-second time penalty, but it just happened, and it's unbelievable. I cannot believe what I'm seeing right now, but that is really going to cost his chances to win this race, of course. But he will start to drop positions as well, as he's behind Glock now, and he's in P7. Of course, I don't think if he finishes in P7 he still has any threat of losing the championship, but it certainly is putting him on a setback, and he will not be as comfortable as he was at the front of the field. So that is really detrimental for his chances in this race and potentially in the championship fight as well. As Fireblaze, I'm not sure if he has noticed or he has seen it, but he now probably has to win this race, and it might be getting a little bit closer than Jens would have hoped for going into this race, as he got himself a 10-second time for speeding in the pit. We mentioned it before the race in qualifying as well, but I didn't expect it would actually happen. I thought he would be going quite careful into the pit lane and not risk himself getting that penalty. And here comes the rest of the top 4. Let's see if they will be able to follow that pit entry, and they do indeed. Felice is going to continue on as Moamina, Fireblaze, Rising Star all pulling to the pit lane as well, and not getting themselves a penalty, going on to a brand new set of hard. Let's see what the undercut is like though for Jensen. He's of course behind Glock. I think Glock will take the virtual race lead, but I don't think he will be able to go to the end on these tires, or at least without some massive tire saving towards the very end, as he hits the inside curb there going out of the final corner. It's Velocio stayed on the front ahead of Adams in second. They still have stayed out on those mediums, but probably will be coming in at the end of this lap. That is Moamina just getting out behind Glock then. So the kick sour, it will be in a virtual race lead. Then it's Glock, then it's Amino in P2. Then Fireblaze, crucially, has remained ahead of his teammate Jensen, ahead of his rival Jensen in the other Alpine. But Jensen has successfully completed the undercut on Rising Star, who has fallen behind the Alpine in 7th place, which will be P5 once the top 2 make their pit stop. So this is position gained there for Jensen, but this 10-second time penalty. Well, as long as he stays in this DRS, this lead group, I think they will eventually start to build a big enough gap for him to stay comfortable in this position. But it certainly doesn't help his chances in this race, does it?
No, it doesn't. But hopefully for him, there is no safety cars that bring everybody back together. Plus, if he has to do has to make another pit stop due to his tyre wear just dropping off dramatically, then that 10-second time penalty would definitely hurt him indeed. But I don't expect another pit stop unless he could go towards the end of these hardcore power tyres. So here comes Mo Nemo, but he's too far back to make a move on Glock. Glock, of course, in front of this train. He was behind it after dropping away in that DRS, but we expect him to make another pit stop because we don't think those hardcore power tyres could go towards the end. That's a long stretch, especially for a power player too, to make it towards the end on these sets of the hardcore power tyres. So Clark makes his way around the final corner as it's lap 12 out of 26, but Mo Nemo is right behind him and ready to pounce at any given moment too. Doesn't want to waste any time behind Clark if he can help it. As we head through turn 3, surely not make a move down the inside here. It's a bit of a risky one indeed, but he backs out for the time being. He doesn't really need to make any risks against Clark. He's got a big tyre advantage against him, and there's no need to make any sort of like silly moves, risky moves to throw his race away because it's on his hands so far. But just to get past the Sauber driver quickly and cleanly and maintain the lead of the Grand Prix. But Glock's not making it easy. Glock stays in P1 for the time being. But we know Glock's going to be under massive pressure sooner or later. But Mo Nemo there just hits the back of him as well, carrying more speed. Mid-speed corner is much better on that Ferrari in comparison towards the kick Sauber too. You can see the desperation kicking in now from Mo Nemo to overtake him. But surely with a tyre advantage and DRS as well, doesn't need to make any sort of mistakes against him because it will hinder his progress and hinder his chances of winning the race when he had it all in his hands and making a very aggressive move against the driver on all the tyres. But Fireblaze is right behind him too, so I think he wants to overtake him quickly. Clock is weaving left and right there, not making it easy for the Ferrari driver, but it's the Ferrari going to go finally down the inside. There's contact and they're super close there. Fireblaze goes through, does he? He's side by side with the Ferrari driver as we head towards the breakers, but the Ferrari outbreaks him and he almost three goes for the lead. Glock goes a bit deep and Fireblaze goes through too. What a move, unexpected. Now Rising Star side by side with Jensen to the final corner we go. Watch a chain in events. What a change in this race. And now Glock's been shuffled back into P3. Mo and Nemo centered on the inside. And Fireblaze went through too. And now Jensen the back of him as we head down towards turn. Oh, Glock, what are you doing? No! Oh my goodness me. And yeah, that's gone from bad to worse now, hasn't it really? It's all kicking off here in this race. And now the Alpines are leading. It's a 1-2. And with Rising Star repeating, I don't understand with Mo and Nemo like making very risky moves like that. Indeed, he knows he's on better tyres. I know Glock is moving left and right and probably playing with the rules a bit, playing with fire, being on the very borderline of incidents. But at the same time, though, you got to be calculated, you got to be calm, measured. I know what Glock did wasn't right either. That was very bad indeed from Glock, but he's probably frustrated with the dive bomb from Mo and Nemo that was sent him wide, and Fireblaze went through too. Made contact with Fireblaze too, so it got a bit messy there for the lead of the Grand Prix, but it has changed everything now, and Fireblaze has almost broken the DRS away from his teammates. So it looks like Jensen is struggling to stay within DRS range of his own teammate there too, and Rising Star might take advantage. Barely got any ERS in his disposal, so Jensen is really struggling. And once again, Rising Star is in P3. He tried to make a move on Jensen in the last lap, but unfortunately it did not work. Where's Mo and Nemo now? Rejoining down in P5, so like I said, this has been the main story of the season with both Ferrari drivers making big mistakes and cost them dearly in the races too. Rising Star gets a bit squirrely at the final corner, just completely messes his lines through there as well as he goes through turn 1 and turn 2 as Samid is in the pit lane. As we know, he made contact in the first lap and has to pit once again as we head down towards turn 3. Look at this! Around the outside he goes. Can he make these moves stick? Has the inside line going towards turn 4? I was completely caught off guard there, but the Ferrari driver came out of nowhere and he did a Pierre Gasly, I think, on Sebastian Vettel in 2019 when he went around the outside there in towards turn 3. That's a lovely move, or vice versa. I remember Pierre Gasly going around the outside of Vettel and Leclerc in 2019, or could have been Vettel and Gasly. I'm not quite sure who it was at the time, but it was definitely a Red Bull or Mercedes, Red Bull and Ferrari doing that when Verstappen, Leclerc, Gasly and Vettel had their scrap in 2019 against each other, and that was the time where Gasly finished in P4. It's for his best result for Red Bull because Vettel and Verstappen made contact in Vale when Vettel outbroke himself and took out Verstappen. It was Lewis Hamilton who won the Grand Prix with Valtteri Bottas in P2, and Bottas got caught out by the safety car because of Giovinazzi as well, and Bottas was put on a compromised strategy which really cost him, hurt his race as well, because I think Bottas and Hamilton had scrapped themselves, didn't they? And Bottas got ahead of Hamilton again in towards Copse, and 2019 was definitely an amazing race for the British GP, as it always is. But Jensen here is struggling to stay within DRS range of Fireblaze. The gap is 1.1 now, so he's leaving his teammate for dust, and he wants to go for broke. He wants to win the race. He knows there's no chance of winning the championship unless he takes his teammate out and then goes on to win the race. But of course, he's not going to do that. But now Veloci Jr. is in P3, hunted down Jensen. Jensen may well truly fall off the podium here with that testing catastrophe, because Veloci Jr. will go through. Rise of Star will go through, Moenima will go through. I don't think Glock will, because Glock's too far behind, plus with the older tyre as well, in P6 there as well. But it's a shame what happened as well, because it completely jumbled up the order and messed things up. But we're still on full good race now, and Fireblaze has broken away from the DRS trainer Jensen. The gap is 1.3 now.
Yeah, to be honest, it doesn't really matter for Jensen. As long as he finishes the race, he would still be champion, because I think if he finishes P11 with Fireblaze in P1, he would still Fireblaze would still only gain 15 points on his rival, so it would still not be enough for him to win. So all Jensen needs to do is just finish the race. But I know I've jinxed him before that in qualifying. Let's hope it doesn't actually happen Sunday to him. But at the moment, he's doing a good job. He's fallen behind DRS, of course. Fireblaze seems like just a little bit too quick at this stage, and he might be on for a good end to his season with a good win to finish off the season. And Jensen, well, I don't think he will be able to finish on the podium, especially with this DRS train staying intact here down to P5. But as long as he finishes there, he would still be able to crown himself as a world champion. There's 11 laps remaining in this race. It's an Alpine 1-2 on track at least. But with a bit of penalty applied, I think Jensen would fall back down to 5th place and would have Rising Star in 2nd. And Moemina back up into P3. But he was our race leader, was our pole sitter. And he was very comfortably leading the race early on. But after that incident, dropped down to P5. And I know he would really like to get back into position to at least secure a 2nd place, because I think the win is just out of reach for him right now, as Fireblaze is continuing to build that gap at the front. As it's now 2.1 seconds to his teammate Jensen in 2nd place. Fireblaze even got a 1-lap tire advantage as well, as Summit once again with the fastest lap of the race, having switched onto a 2nd set of hards after having to pit on the opening lap, not the opening lap, the opening couple of laps. Due to that incident with the Mercedes, he's down in 9th place, and it looks like he will maybe finish there unless Melnus has to make another pit. He might have to, being on 13 laps on these tires. But we're on lap 16 of 26. This DRS train from Jensen down to, I mean, it's very difficult to overtake, but I mean, it's quite close now to the back of Rising Star. But Rising Star, he's got more battery to work with, and I mean, it's not quite close enough to try and go for that move. Same with Veloci on the back of Jensen. He's quite close, but he's not close enough. Although Jensen, he's used quite a bit of his battery trying to stay within DRS range of Fireblaze. And Veloci has got 60% to work with, so you might see a move coming soon potentially with the Ferrari driver trying to attack the Alpine for 2nd place on track. But in the championship, as Glock now pitches up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, it really goes from bad to worse for the Kick-Sauber driver, who once led this race when he went for the undercut. But then with that incident I mean, it really fell off, lost a lot of time, dropped out of the DRS range, now having to make that 2nd stop, which we expected earlier in the race. And that is Veloci going around the outside and overtaking Jensen there, completely catching me off guard with the Ferrari driver now up at the 2nd place. With Jensen dropping to P3 is something which, of course, would have happened already with these time penalties. But it really seems like Jensen is struggling on these hards, because he really cannot keep up with his teammate, and that Ferrari driver going through as well.
This reminds me of Miami as well. Fireblaze dominated this race, because it's not a every day. It's not a certainty that a Fireblaze controls and dominates the race. He's always under pressure by somebody, and he's always had to work hard for it. But it's like Miami when he got his first win in SFR finally as well, because in season 16 and 17 he was struggling to. Well, he won in season 16 Mexico to get his first win on his debut for SFR, but in season 17 had no wins at all. He was lacking, I think, as well. He was always second best towards Caname. The season 18 he finally got a win after winning in Miami, and he controlled and led the race beautifully for the first time in a long time as well. It's very rare that you see Fireblaze leading and dominating the race. He's dominated so far, but could Veloci Jr. be a threat to him? But the gap is 2.7 seconds, and he's got a big gap over the Ferrari boy behind him. And he's also got as well that cushion, because he knows that Veloci Jr. and Jensen both got penalties, so there will not be a threat at all to him at all. His biggest threat is Rise of Star, is P4, but Rise of Star stuck behind in this DRS train. We're coming towards the final stage of this race. There is 8 laps left to go in this race, and it's looking good so far for Jensen. Just to keep it nice and tidy on the road, doesn't need to get himself involved in any contact. He just needs to finish this race, because if Fireblaze is supposed to win, Fireblaze wants to win the championship, he needs to finish it first, and Jensen finishes down in 10th or 11th for Fireblaze to win the championship. So that's what Jensen needs to do. He knows he's got a penalty. There's no need to take any risks, but he's actually dropping backwards, in the clutches of Rise of Star. It's lots of DRS towards Veloci Jr. I've noticed as well, his straight line speed has been absolutely amazing. I think his tyre wear starts to give up again for the RP driver. He's very good as well, very reliable when it comes to tyre management, and in Silverstone looks like he's struggling as well, so running a bit more of a different setup than usual. Fireblaze and Jensen usually share setups, and looks like this time Fireblaze got the better of him, and now Jensen's under massive pressure. He's lost a lot of time. The gap is 1.5 seconds as well, so Jensen's losing loads of time there as well, but I don't think he needs to worry. But if he does make another pit stop, I think he should still be safe ahead of Adam, Salmon and Glock, despite having that 10 second penalty, such as the margins. I think the last thing that Jensen needs is probably a safety car, even though he could pit and service 10 second penalty. So a safety car or anything like that, I think he'll still be safe. I think the only way this can go wrong for Jensen is a DNF, and I don't think that's going to happen. Or maybe a puncher towards the end as well. That could be also in the question. How many warnings does the top 5 have? I could check for you right now, mate. So Fireblaze has 0. I'm not going to check Jensen or Veloci Jr. I'm going to check Rise of Star. He's got 1. So Rise of Star's got 1 warning at the start of the race. Momo Nemo's got 1 warning on lap 12. I'm not going to check the rest of the field either, because they're not really it doesn't really matter for them at this point. But Rise of Star on the back of Jensen, who's dropped out of the DRS range of Veloci Jr. Veloci Jr. and Fireblaze have kept a stalemate gap between themselves, a consistent gap. The gap was like 2.6, 2.7. The last lap is the same this lap as well, so not really much gained or lost between first or second place. It's more stale now. But Jensen, however, looks like he's under massive pressure from Rise of Star and Momo Nemo right behind as well. Here comes the DRS open from Rise of Star. He goes through. Up into P3, and here comes Veloci Jr. too, side by side. That's Momo Nemo, who goes up into P4. Looks like Jensen is not put up a threat. He seems to be struggling a lot. I think towards the last stage of this race, he might suffer a punch the way he's driving, because the tyres are graining massively. Where do I find the link to join the Discord? I'll contact Sonic Hawk or John Mobes, because they're both in the Discord server. So they're both on this YouTube channel, so contact those two and they'll get in touch with you soon. I might send the link down as well in the description so you can join the Discord server. There is a website, Speed Force Racing. If you go on that, the link should be there as well on the website. But Jensen in P5 then just keeps getting dropped and detached from the guys behind. He just seems to have a massive pace loss, and this is not something we're used to seeing from Jensen. He's always the driver that managed to go for a very long stint on a first set of tyres and just catch his rivals towards the end. But this time round, he seems to be struggling on this setup. He really does seem to be not having any grip on the Alpine. This is very unusual for Jensen.
Yeah, it is really strange to see, and to be honest, when I was looking at the tires in the first stint, I already noticed that his tires were looking worse compared to everyone else, and it definitely seems like he's got some sort of issue in the second stint as well, as he's once again dropped outside of the DRS range, 1.4 seconds behind Mo Amino. In 1 lap time, he lost around 2 seconds compared to Rising Top. We'll take a look at his lap times in a moment's time compared to the drivers ahead of him, but now he's dropped down to P5. Of course, he's got 15 seconds towards Adams in the Mercedes. But by the way he's driving now, that P5 might be under threat as well, and it could turn into a 6th place finish. Of course, would still be enough for him to win the championship, but it's not looking quite good for him. As Fireblaze, he's setting at 30.2 at the front, and Veloci is with a 30.3, quite similar to them at 30.4, and he ends up with a 31.4. He's a second slower compared to our two racing, which is really unusual to see, like you said, as he used to be stronger in the races, but tonight seems like an exception, and he is falling further and further behind the top 4. But of course, he can drive as slowly as he wants, to be honest. He doesn't need to take any risks. And, he can fall behind in P5 and finish there without any problems, because the championship would still be safe for him. But he will need to nurse his stars home if that is the issue. Then I think he should take it easy and just bring home these stars in a good shape, and not risk himself getting a puncture in those final laps, because if you do get a puncture in the final laps, that could really hurt his lap times, and that would put him under pressure or in danger of his potential title. But at the moment he is just there in P5, now 2 seconds behind the cars ahead of him. But so far I think the tires, he should be able to make it to the end, but it will cost him some lap time, but he can afford it at this stage of the race into the championship as well. The fight continuing on between Rising Star and Mo Amino on track, of course, separated by a few tenths of a second. And it is Veloce in second place. He got a 3-second time penalty early on in the race. I don't think, I'm not sure if he will be able to remove that, but at the moment he's got 2.5 seconds towards Rising Star. So if he can build that gap, then he might still be able to secure that second place. So that still might be a very good result for the Ferrari driver, starting in 6th place and ending up in 2nd. And at the moment he's doing a good job of maintaining that position, whilst Rising Star is busy fighting it out with Mo Amino, who's getting closer to the back of the RB. Both I think quite similar ERS levels, but we know of course Mo Amino, he's got the pace, he got the pole position, he was leading early on in the race. He's got 0.3 of a second away as Rising Star going fully defensive to the inside there to completely break the slipstream towards the Ferrari, and doing so successfully. So at the time being it is the RB who stays ahead, but if Mo Amino wants to attack, if he wants to overtake the RB in these final stages of the race, probably will be on the final lap. So we'll be looking forward to a last lap battle for the final spot on the podium, or it could be second place, because it's still very close towards Veloce in second, as it's 2.6 seconds now. So Jensen picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and now with Adams with 13.8 seconds behind, he is really threatening to lose that 5th place as well. Really not sure what's going on with him, but it's really strange, as he is struggling so much. 3 seconds now behind Mo Amino, who is getting close to the back of Rising Star, who goes slightly deep in towards Stowe. That allows the Ferrari to slip underneath as they go side by side, now going towards the final chicane. Bit of a nudge from the RB, is going to the inside in towards the braking zone, but Mo Amino tries to go round the outside, turns to the inside line for the next corner. Rising Star tries to get a better exit, almost contact between the two as they go in towards the final corner, and it's a beautiful move from Mo Amino to go back up into P3. But now, as a result of that fight, the gap towards his teammate is over 3 seconds, so he will need to get back within that 3-second window. But of course, Rising Star will be busy fighting it out with him as well, so that is good news for the Ferrari driver in second place. But what I was talking about was Jensen in P5. That's just so strange that he's losing so much pace with the tires. But look at the front left; it's not looking good at all for that the front left tire underneath the Alpine, as it's really starting to grey now. And I think Adams might be able to get that 5th place.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. And look at Rising Star's left front tire looking very mean and unhappy there as well, as they scream out for help as they take it a long way in this race. This track is an absolute tire killer here in Silverstone, full of mid-speed, high-speed corners, especially this one in towards Cops, where the left front unloads and takes a lot of pressure as well. And there's still fights over the P3. Apparently, Veloce Jr. could remove his 3-second penalty due to something happening at the start of the race. So they said it was a glitch. If Rising Star goes off the track, he may have picked himself up a warning. That could be a warning for him as well. He really is struggling in the dirty air of the Ferrari of Mo Amino in P3. However, Veloce Jr. could still finish in P2 because he's got the gap over his teammate. It could be a double Ferrari podium here as well. But Rising Star struggling so much, he goes off the track again. I think tyre wear is starting to affect him massively. The way he's driving off the track every single time means he's getting closer towards punch territory, and he's fighting that car. He's wrestling the car like an octopus as well, just trying to make sure he stays on the track whilst fighting for P3 at the same time as well. Rising Star desperately needs a podium because he's been doing such a good job in this race that once again exceeds track limits towards turn number 1. That could be his 2nd infringement in this race and limited his chances of picking up the podium despite having such good pace. But his tyre wear certainly is letting the Racing Bull driver down. And he's still putting pressure on the Ferrari in front of him. I think the Ferrari as well suffering with a bit of tyre loss, tyre grip as well, lack of it. But Rising Star still on the back of him as we head down towards Brooklyn as we go. But he's low on the ERS, low on chances as well in this race. Jensen, however, is still in P5. Adams as well, who we know who is a Division 2 driver and struggles in Division 1 massively. He's actually gaining time on Jensen and could pick up a P5 as well. So Adams is catching Jensen and could finish in P5. And people thinking, what the hell are you talking about? He's 13 seconds behind. Well, Jensen has a 10-second penalty and a 3-second penalty, which means 13 seconds. And Adams is 7/10 away. So for those people who think I'm talking crazy there, he does have a 10-second penalty, and Adams will catch him towards the end of the race with his tyre weight dropping off dramatically as well. And Rise of Star at the exit of Chapel loses back in the car. He could be vulnerable towards the end of the race, could Rise Star. The way he's driving aggressively as well, not hoping his tyres in one iota as well in this race. As we come through Stowe we go, where he went off the track last time, and super close towards the track off the track as well last time as well. But lap 25 out of 26, and the championship is right there within Jensen's grasp. I really hope as well that Jensen does not pick up a puncher in this race, because we saw the tyre wear drop off dramatically, and the way he's driving as well, it just seems that the car is just so reluctant to turn in or step on the power. He seems to be losing traction all the time and losing grip all the time as well. But hopefully Jensen makes it towards the end.
It is going to be close though. He has to nurse those stars, so might have to take that P6 rather than finishing in the top 5, because those stars really not looking pretty underneath the Alpine, but nor on the RB ahead of him in P4. RB looking even worse for Rising Star, who's still fighting it out with Amino for that final spot on the podium. The gap has now grown to around 4 seconds between the two Ferraris, so Veloce definitely seems to be safe in second place, and even if he can remove that time penalty, will not be any trouble for bringing home this second place. And I must say, his pace is quite strong as well. I think he's slowly but surely closing the gap towards Fireblaze. Of course, 2.3 seconds. He will not gain that in the final lap unless Fireblaze makes a major mistake, but I don't see that happening anytime soon, as he's just in his world of his own at the front, and he's got a bit ERS to work with as well. But we will have one lap of racing remaining to decide the championship, ironically. But Fireblaze has done everything he can do in this race to try and win the championship, but as it looks like right now, I think Jensen has just done enough to secure himself the championship. But we go into the final lap of the race with Fireblaze in the lead, followed by the two Ferraris.
This is the moment all comes down to: monster pressure, pace, mistakes, recoveries, and relentless determination distilled into one final result. Through the highs and the setbacks, through the dominant victories and bruising off days, one driver has delivered when it mattered the most, with blistering pace, ice-cold composure under the pressure, and the courage to seize every single defining moment. Jensen has done enough. The late season charge, the crucial wins, the championship swung in Abu Dhabi, and that has been confirmed all the way down to the wire. Towards Fireblaze, though, he has done such a mighty job in P1, and unfortunately in the Abu Dhabi race it has cost him dearly as well in that race, where he didn't show at all. But yeah, unfortunately Fireblaze is going to set up another P2 in the race, unfortunately. Well, a P2 in the championship. Veloce Jr. is closing him down. But Fireblaze's season 18 has been a story of relentless consistency, quiet resilience, and unwavering professionalism. Chaos unfolded in front of him, around him as well. Fireblaze was always there, collecting points, standing on the podiums, keeping the championship alive through sheer discipline and racecraft. He always has been, but not always had outright peak pace. But when he delivered, was something just as powerful, reliable, and maturity and ability to extract results, even when the odds weren't perfect. Crucially, it was a single absence, one missed race, that tilts the balance of the entire season. A reminder of just how forgiving championship battles can be. Yet, in the heartbeat, Fireblaze never faltered. He returned, fought on, and end towards the season in the strongest possible way. Delivering when it mattered and showing the very end. Fireblaze wins the British GP. Moronimo is P3, sorry. Rising Stars P4, he spins towards the line, but Jensen will come across the line to become the season 18 champion of SFR once again. Fantastic from Jensen. He has finally won the championship after trying as well last season, but faltered with many mistakes, but kept the mistakes to a minimum as well. And it looked like he was on the very edge of receiving a puncher because his tyres weren't looking very good at all. But Jensen has won the championship. Congratulations to him. I'll be absolutely delighted. The gap between him and Adams was 2 tenths as well, so Adams was gaining on Jensen in front of him. But for Fireblaze, he'll be very happy he won the race. But in the long run, it's another P2 in the Drivers' Championship, like last season as well. Not just this season. I do feel sorry for Fireblaze in a way, because it's not just this league he finishes a P2, it's other leagues as well that I commentate and race with him in. He does have a tendency to finish runner-up all the time, and he just keeps trying no matter what. He's a driver that has got good discipline and mental strength as well, because I know how easy it is to give up whilst finishing in P2 all the time. But you got to give respect to Fireblaze for never ever giving up, and he dominated this race as well. He showed why he's a force to be reckoned with. He's shown why he's a threat, and this is one of the races where Fireblaze continues to thrive in as well. Congratulations to Fireblaze and Jensen for an epic, amazing season. Those two can be very proud of what's happened tonight by Milan.
Exactly. Congratulations to both the Alpines. Congratulations to Jensen winning the championship. Kept his calm even after picking up that 10-second time penalty. He lost a bit of time to the cars ahead of him, but he didn't make a single mistake after that. And he kept his calm towards the end and did what he needed to do, and that is finish his race inside the top 5 as well, with a decent final race. But what a great season it has been for him as well, with 10 wins on the block as well. And Fireblaze, yeah, he gave it his all in this final race, did everything he could. He maximized the race result, but unfortunately he just falls short by a couple of points. Yeah, it's been a strong season for him as well, for him and his teammate. And I think either driver would have deserved the championship. But congratulations to both Jensen and Fireblaze with a great championship and a great result. To both drivers as well, finishing on the podium. But what a season finale it has been. And what an enjoyable race once again here at Silverstone.
Exactly. I'm only going to invite Jensen and Fireblaze to the party because I haven't got time to interview the rest of them, unfortunately. So sorry to the Ferrari boys. I know both of them got the podium as well. A double podium for Ferrari, let's not forget as well, after this season not being great for them after a huge amount of mistakes. And great comeback drive from Nemo, despite almost getting taken out by, I think it was Glock at the time, in towards turn 3, when things got a bit hectic down there between those two. But our drivers are in the podium interviews. Who do I start with, the race winner or the champion? No, I'm joking. I'll start with Jensen first. No, I'm sorry, Fireblaze first. Fireblaze, congratulations on a fantastic win. I know you haven't won the championship, but you can still be very proud of yourself for collecting those points. And even though you had a race off in Abu Dhabi, you came back stronger to absolute dominate this race in Silverstone. And it's your first dominant race since the Miami Grand Prix when you won your first race since season 16 in Mexico. So congratulations, Fireblaze, for winning the race. You have done a mega job, and you may be a bit disappointed by losing out in the end, but of course both of you had one race each off, and unfortunately it had to be the one in Abu Dhabi where things mattered the most. But describe to us, how do you feel?
For the championship, to be fair, last week I already kind of let it go, but for the race today, of course, it was nice. I was kind of hoping to battle a bit with Mo, but Glock had other plans apparently. But yeah, for the rest, in my opinion, if Mo wasn't taken out, it might not have been so certain for me just driving away. But yeah, for the rest, yeah, I've not really got too much to say.
And how? Sorry about that. I was on mute. I was asking the question as soon as you stopped talking. But how would you describe the championship battle between you and Jensen? Because all the way through, I'm not seeing you two making a single mistake. Well, hit each other once, I don't think. Maybe in Brazil when you two came to blows, only slightly though, with a little bit of contact, but not heavily. But you two have shown some great sportsmanship throughout the season. You've not argued once in this immense championship battle between yourself and Jensen as well. So you've been both respectful, and you helped each other as well. Surprisingly, despite being championship contenders, you have both helped each other in terms of setups, etc., and strategies, and being in par with each other. So I think it's been one of the most respectful championships ever I've seen in league racing.
Well, first of all, congratulations to Jensen, of course. But no, of course, it's a team sport, so yeah, the team first, and then once we got that settled in the race, then we usually just go for it both and see what we can do. Of course, keep it fair and clean, but yeah.
I know you run once again, Fireblaze, in this season, but surely if SFR continues to run for season 19 and we have the attendance sky high again like we have the past couple of seasons, back to where we're supposed to be, do you really think that you can finally, for the third time of asking in this league, you can finally win this championship? Because we definitely know you've got the pace. You've shown it as well. You've practiced a lot. You've been very consistent so far. Consistency has been one of your strongest suits as well as an accolade for your driver. But as a caliber for your driver. But your consistency has been there. And do you think you'll win the championship next season?
Well, of course, I think I'll have a good chance at it, seeming as to how dominant Alpine has been this season, and since Jensen probably won't be driving next season, so yeah. Of course, it's just going to depend on what type of competition is also going to flow into the league.
You sound a bit disappointed, Pablo, but you should be happy as well because you put up a fight all the way through. It's not easy against a driver like Jensen's caliber. He's very high. He's in PSGL, I think F1, I think he was, anyways. But yeah, you fought against a driver who is very experienced, been league racing for a long time, so you should be very impressed. So I want to say thank you for a good season, mate. Unlucky for missing out on the championship, but we know you've always got the pace to come back stronger.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Milan, you the questions for Pablo's?
No, to be honest, I don't really know much about how the season has progressed, but all I can say is congratulations on the win. It's been a great drive.
Thank you.
Jensen, congratulations on the championship, mate. Your first championship in SFR, and what a championship as well. 10 wins and 15 podiums. That's a mega result. I think you did a hurricane from season 15-16 when you won about 11 wins and had like 40, 50 podiums. But you've done, well, on paper, it looks like you've dominated this championship, but in the race, it's been a mighty challenge. It's just like a reverse of Canaan versus Fireblaze last season too, when it looked like Canaan dominated the championship, but he didn't because he had a massive challenger behind him, which was Fireblaze. So talk us through, how do you think the season's gone for you?
Yeah, well, obviously, firstly, commiserations to Fireblaze, because, well, all season he kind of equally deserved it as much as me. I mean, like, I think he's had, like, a little bit more bad luck than I have. I think I've been a little bit lucky for a few races like Jeddah, where, well, without that safety car I wouldn't have won the race. I probably would have finished like P5 or something. And there's been a couple other races here and there, but he's just been so quick this season. Like a real thorn in my side. Whenever it's raining as well, he's just being like he's untouchable in the rain. And whenever it was a wet race, he just kind of ran away with it, unless it was obviously Singapore. I was able to hold him back because he couldn't overtake. But yeah, he's been a real good pleasure to battle against this season. But yeah, this season's been well, unexpected. I didn't really expect to win so many races this season, but so I won 10, so I'll maybe take those. But yeah, I'm a bit disappointed how the season ended for me. I mean, obviously P5, but I think once I sped in the pits, I kind of lost concentration. Really, I just kind of ailed to the end. In the end, but in the end, I've kept the whole season consistent. And that's what kind of won me in the end, even with the 2 races missed.
I think as well that you guys have won every single race bar with 1 or 2, because I know Mo and Nemo's won 1, and Nico Rassenberg's won a few, and it's just been super dominant from you two overall as well. I think 14 wins this season out of 19, so you haven't won about 5, which is, hopefully my maths is correct. So talk us through how much of a pleasure it's been working with Fireblaze, because you and Fireblaze has been very good at communicating with each other as well, and just helping each other in general, which we don't really see in the championship fight. We don't really see 2 teammates who are in a close championship fight help each other. So I think it's been I think you've had a good time working with them this season as a teammate.
I think for the first half or 2/3 of the season, we've I think we've orchestrated our race quite well up until like the final third of the race. So we kind of help each other along really, and we get into a position where we're first and second, and then we race on from there. But yeah, it's been very good between me and Fireblaze this season. Obviously, we've had a couple of little moments. I think Brazil was one he should have won really, but he didn't end up reporting that. So I caught up in dirty air on the last lap, and I don't know, kind of unsettled me, and ended up accidentally squeezing him. But yeah, it's out quite well.
Well, congratulations on the mega season, and this is your last league race, mate. So, since you've been league racing in 2018, what has been your favourite moment in league racing history?
Oh, probably. I mean, this is a lot to choose, really. I mean, yeah, but I think probably winning in PSG F1 for the first time was probably my best, or my favourite moment. I felt the most emotions. But yeah, there's so many to pick from, really. Couldn't really pinpoint one. I think everything's kind of gone alright. I've managed to win in win a title in like 90% of the leagues I've done, so I could look back and be happy with that. And I've got one league left going on till the end of the year, which I've already won multiple times there, but I don't think I'm gonna do it this season. I'm just gonna enjoy it. But this is like this is my last competitive league race anyway, in the like competitive tiered grid. So yeah, like I said, look back on it all, I could be happy with everything.
I just want to say, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure watching you race as well, and a pleasure racing with you back in 2018 and 2019, a long, long time ago when I first met you at the Canadian Grand Prix, where we both raced each other. But in SFR, you've always put on a great show. You've always been there. You've always been quick, relentless, talented, and calm, calculated, and measured as well. Even though when you make mistakes, you always come back to the field and threaten the rest of the drivers as well. So it's been an absolute pleasure watching you race, but I will miss you as well, because it's been such good memories from like a couple of seasons ago in SFR when we first met back in 2018, 2019, and to now. You brought in some really good drivers like Oscar Piastri, Oscar and not Harry Kane, Oscar and what's his name? Yeah, Oscar Volakonga. You brought those Norwegians in. You brought in all the drivers as well to try and help them build up the league. And you've been a real good sport as well in SFR. It's been a pleasure to have you, mate. I really enjoyed having you here.
Oh yeah, it's been it's like one of the first few leagues I ever joined, SFR. It's the start of F1 2020, so I think it's like this is the fourth league that I ever joined. And yeah, the last title was 4 years ago, when it was GP1 instead of Div1. So yeah, it does go a long way back in SFR. But yeah, I think it's been 6 seasons, and yeah, I think all those seasons it's been quite close knit, quite friendly, good social experience and all that. So yeah, be happy to look back in those seasons, and obviously I'll still be around probably in the chats or the live streams, watching on next season, like Fireblaze and Mo, Abe and Rising Star fighting for the title.
And do you believe Fireblaze will win the championship next season? Because he's definitely got the attributes to do it.
I mean, going off that race, he had nothing to lose pretty much at that point. It's almost an impossible task to win the title given the point system, but you see him with absolute no pressure on. He just ran away with it and won by 4.5 seconds. I mean, yeah, I think next season he's definitely the favourite, but the Ferrari boys, they were super quick on 1 lap pace all the way through this season, but I don't know, some questionable strategies here and there. I think they got it right this evening. Obviously Mo got really unlucky with Glock, but yeah, I think those 3 particularly are going to be the ones to watch next season.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you for your dedication as well towards the. I know we had a bit of a diamond spiral, but you two, I think, attended every single race bar one, and it shows how committed you are as well towards the league. So thank you very much, Fireblaze and Jensen, for an epic championship battle. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you for the comms all season as well, mate.
I tried my best, mate.
Nah, you did alright. You did great.
I wasn't here for the whole season. I was racing as reserve driver, but I've tried to come back, if that makes sense.
Nah, you've done an awesome job, mate. So, yeah.
Milan Langer, have you got any questions for Jensen?
All I can say is, first of all, sorry for jinxing you getting a 10-second time penalty for speeding the pit lane. But besides that, congratulations on your championship. That's definitely the best way to go out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, that is it then for the British GP, the final race this season, like it was last season, and it is Jensen, the Brit, who comes out on top ahead of the Dutchman. What a championship battle has been as well this season. Thank you, Milan Langer, for being there with me in the last race season. I know you can't do it for the whole season, would have loved to, but of course you've got all the commitments you have to do. So yeah, thank you very much, mate. It's been a pleasure to have you here commentating with me.
Thank you. It's been I really enjoyed it, so looking forward to maybe do it again sometime.
Indeed, that is it for SFR. We are done, and we move on to the next season. Season 19. Jensen, unfortunately, will not be here next season because he has quit league racing. But for Fireblaze, I'm sure that the Dutchman will continue striving, and hopefully the championship will be there in the future. It is definitely within his sights, but of course the Dutchman needs to piece it all together to try and win the championship. The likes of Veloci Jr., Ayub, Moenimo, any of them could be also in the championship fight as well due to their pace. But like Jensen said, they do make a few questionable strategies and a few mistakes as well. So hopefully they don't do it again next season. And we move on to the first race as well. See you all later. Goodbye for now. And that is it for SFR. We are done tonight. And I know it hasn't been a spectacular season like it was in season 16, 15, 14 and 13. We had a bit of a diverse period and a bit of a setback, but we have been starting to climb up and we are starting to get better. So hopefully next season 19 will be much better and commentary will be there for the whole season too, because I know myself, I've been racing due to the attendance hasn't been high, but I've stuck around and tried to help out as well and tried to stay motivated for the last 2 races, which I have done, as I've done in the last couple of seasons as well. So see you all later. Goodbye for now, and thank you very much for everybody for tuning in. It's been a pleasure.